and it was 2003, physics was in a strange place. We had these incredibly successful theories like quantum mechanics and general relativity, but when you pushed them to their limits, they started saying bizarre things. They hinted that our universe, everything we knew, wasn't the whole story, or it felt like a collection of whispers in the dark. Then a cosmologist at MIT named Max Tegmark decided to turn on the lights. He didn't discover the multiverse. The idea had been floating around for decades, a weird consequence of different theories. What he did was organize it. He published a paper, a categorization, that laid it all out. He called them the 4 levels of the multiverse. Level, I was the simplest. It just came from the idea that space is infinite. If space goes on forever, then the way particles can be arranged has to repeat. Somewhere out there, impossibly far away, is another Earth with another you. Level the second was born from inflation theory. The idea is that our universe is just one bubble in a boiling pot of space-time, and other bubbles are constantly forming, each with potentially different laws of physics. And level the third was the strangest of all. It came from quantum mechanics. Every time a quantum event happens, the universe splits. Every possible outcome happens in its own separate universe. You turn left, another you turns right. Both are real. Level the fourth was the most abstract. It suggested that any universe defined by a mathematical structure is real. Any physics you can describe with math exists somewhere. This wasn't just a fun thought experiment. Tegmark's paper framed it as the inevitable conclusion of our current understanding of physics. It forced a re-evaluation. Scientists had to look at these ideas not as science fiction, but as a serious possibility. The universe we thought was unique, special, the entire stage of existence was suddenly demoted. It was just one page in an infinite library, and for anyone paying attention, this realization changed everything. It wasn't a discovery of a new planet or star. It was a potential discovery that everything was infinitely bigger and stranger than we ever conceived. And in that new vast context, the meaning of our own lives started to unravel. Number 18, your smallest decisions create entire universes. A single cosmic ray, a high-energy particle from a distant supernova, strikes a skin cell on your arm. The event takes less than a trillionth of a second. The particle interacts with the nucleus of a single atom. This interaction is a quantum event. According to the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, this tiny, insignificant event just split the universe in two. In one universe, the cell's DNA is undamaged. In the other, a mutation occurs. The number of quantum events happening across the universe every second is estimated to be at least 10 to the power of 100. That's a 1 followed by 100 zeros. Each one could be a branching point. This idea began with a Princeton physics graduate student in the 1950s. His name was Hugh Everett III. He was looking at the strange rules of quantum mechanics. The theory said that a particle, like an electron, doesn't have a definite position until you measure it. Before that, it exists in a cloud of possibilities, a superposition. When you measure it, the particle snaps to one location. This was called the collapse of the wave function, but nobody knew why or how it collapsed. It seemed arbitrary, like a fudge factor in the math. Everett had a radical idea. What if it doesn't collapse? What if at the moment of measurement, reality itself splits? All possible outcomes of the measurement happen. They just happen in separate parallel universes. And Everett wrote his PhD thesis on this in 1957. It was mostly ignored. His own advisor, the famous physicist John Wheeler, was skeptical. The idea of constantly splitting universes seemed too extravagant, a violation of Occam's razor, which states the simplest explanation is usually the best. Everett argued his theory was actually simpler. It removed the need for the mysterious collapse. There was just one elegant equation, the Schrödinger equation, describing how things evolve. The splitting wasn't an extra feature, it was what the equation predicted if you just took it seriously. Frustrated by the Academic response: Everett left physics to work in military operations research. His theory remained a footnote for over a decade. Then, in the 1970s, physicist Bryce DeWitt picked up Everett's idea and gave it a new name, the many worlds interpretation. The name stuck, and the implications began to sink in. This isn't just about electrons in a lab. It's about everything. Every quantum event everywhere all the time causes a split. You are made of atoms. Your brain works through electrochemical signals. These are all quantum processes. When you face a choice, coffee or tea, left or right, yes or no, your brain is a quantum system. The moment you decide, you aren't really choosing one path and discarding the others. You are simply experiencing one branch. Other versions of you, just as real, are experiencing the others. So, that time you almost missed your train but made it just in time, a version of you missed it. The universe where you missed it is just as real as the one where you caught it. That other you is now living out the consequences of that event. Maybe they lost their job. Maybe they met someone on the later train and their life changed completely, and you did too. You are both equally real. There is no main you. Every version of you living in its own universe believes it is the original. This makes the concept of a single, coherent life story an illusion. You know, your life isn't a line. It's an infinitely branching tree. With every passing second, countless new branches are created. You are not one person. You are a legion, a near infinite collection of people who all share a past up to a certain point. The person you are right now is just one leaf on one branch of an impossibly vast tree. And the tree keeps growing. Every tick of the clock, every quantum jiggle adds more branches, more universes, more yous. Your smallest, most unconscious actions, the random firing of a neuron in your brain, the way a photon bounces off your retina, these are the engines of creation. You are creating universes without even knowing it. Number 17, there is a version of you that has achieved everything you ever wanted. The human brain contains about 86 billion neurons. The number of possible connections between them is greater than the number of atoms in the known universe. This is the biological hardware for your potential. In a single universe, you can only realize a tiny fraction of that potential. Time is limited. Opportunities are scarce. Luck plays a role. But in an infinite multiverse, none of that matters. Anything that is physically possible will eventually happen, not just once, but an infinite number of times. This isn't just about choices, it's about sheer dumb luck. Let's say you want to be a world-famous musician. The odds are stacked against you. You need talent, but you also need to meet the right people, be in the right place at the right time, and have 1,000 other things go your way. In this universe, maybe it didn't happen. Maybe you practiced for years but never got your break. But in a level the third multiverse, every quantum event splits reality. So there is a universe where every single lucky break happened. A universe where the random firing of neurons in a record executive's brain made them love your demo tape. A universe where a key competitor got sick before a major audition. A universe where every single quantum roll of the dice landed in your favor. That version of you isn't a fantasy. If the theory is correct, that person is real. They have your memories up to the point where your lives diverged. They feel like you. They think they earned their success through hard work, just as you think you earned your current situation. But their reality is the result of a specific, improbable sequence of quantum events. And the same logic applies to everything. The business you never started, there's a universe where you did, and you're now a billionaire. The person you were too shy to ask out, there's a universe where you weren't, and you've been happily married for 20 years. The scientific discovery you dreamed of making, a version of you made it and won the Nobel Prize. This concept comes from the core probability. If you flip a coin, you have a 50% chance of getting heads. If you flip it 10 times, the chance of getting all heads is tiny. But if you flip it an infinite number of times, you will get 10 heads in a row. Not just once, but infinitely. The multiverse is the ultimate infinite coin flip. Every possible outcome, no matter how unlikely, is guaranteed to occur. This can feel empowering at first. It suggests that your potential is literally infinite, but it also carries a heavy weight. It means your current life is just one outcome among countless others. Your successes are real, but so are the successes of your other selves who did even better. It can create a strange kind of cosmic envy, a jealousy of yourself. You might feel a sense of loss for the lives you could have lived, because those lives are actually being lived by someone else who is also you. And it redefines the idea of potential. Your potential isn't something you strive to fulfill. It is already fulfilled, just somewhere else. You aren't reaching for a possible future. You are just one realization of a potential that has already been fully explored across the multiverse. The version of you who is living your dream life isn't better or more deserving. They were just carried along a different branch of quantum probability. Like, they are you with a different set of lucky breaks. And they probably wonder about the other lives they could have lived too. Number 16, another you has failed in every way imaginable. In 1998, a supernova designated SN 1998 was observed in the galaxy NGC 3982. For a brief period, it outshone billions of stars. Its light, carrying the signature of heavy elements forged in the star's death, traveled for 65 million years to reach us. Every second, countless such cataclysmic events occur throughout the cosmos. Each one is a game of probability. A tiny fluctuation in density, a slight variance in fusion rate, can change the outcome. This same brutal probability governs our lives. For every universe where things went perfectly right for you, there must be a corresponding universe where things went perfectly wrong. This is the dark reflection of the successful you. If an infinite number of universes exists, then every possible sequence of events must play out. This includes the bad ones, the horrible ones. There is a version of you that made the worst possible decision at every critical juncture of your life. A version that said the wrong thing, took the wrong turn, trusted the wrong person every single time. Think of your biggest regret, that one thing you wish you could take back. There is a version of you who not only did that thing, but did the version of it that was 10 times worse. And they are living with the consequences. This isn't about punishment or cosmic justice. It's just statistics. The multiverse is indifferent. It explores every possibility with equal reality. So, the universe where a series of unlucky quantum events led to you having a debilitating accident. It exists. The universe where a genetic predisposition harmless in our timeline was triggered by a random cosmic ray, leading to a terrible illness. It exists. The universe where a misunderstanding escalated and you lost your family, your friends, and your job. It exists. This idea forces a profound and uncomfortable sense of responsibility. You are linked to these suffering versions of yourself. They share your face, your name, your memories up to a point. Your happiness in this universe is, in a way, balanced by their misery in another. It makes it hard to celebrate your own good fortune without a sense of guilt. How can you be truly happy knowing that a person who is, for all intents and purposes, you, is experiencing the worst imaginable suffering? The philosopher Derek Parfit explored questions of personal identity. He argued that what we call self is just a chain of psychological connections. The you of today is connected to the you of yesterday by memory and experience. The connection gets weaker over time. The multiverse takes this idea to an extreme. Like, you are psychologically connected to all of your alternate selves. You share a common past. Their suffering is not the suffering of a stranger. It is, in a very real sense, your own. This also complicates our idea of morality. When you make a decision, you aren't just choosing a path for yourself. You are, in the context of the many worlds theory, choosing which universe you will experience. But you are also abandoning the other yous to the paths you didn't take. If you choose a path that leads to your success, you are leaving behind another you on a path that might lead to failure. You can't save all of them, you can't even help them, they are locked in their own realities, playing out the consequences of events you set in motion. Every moment of joy you feel is shadowed by the knowledge that another you is feeling an equal and opposite moment of pain. and there is nothing you can do about it. Number 15, death is not the end, but something far stranger. The isotope potassium-40 is present in the human body. About 1 in every 8,500 potassium atoms is this radioactive version. And it has a half-life of 1.25 billion years. This means that every second, about 4,000 potassium-40 atoms in your body decay, releasing a positron or an electron. Each decay is a random quantum event. This is the basis for a thought experiment called quantum suicide. Sure, it's one of the most disturbing implications of the many worlds theory, and it completely changes the meaning of death. The thought experiment, proposed independently by thinkers like Hans Moravec and Bruno Marchal in the late 1980s, goes like this. You set up a machine with a gun pointed at your head. The gun is connected to a device that measures the spin of a quantum particle. Each second, a measurement is made. If the particle's spin is up, the gun does nothing. If the spin is down, the gun fires. According to quantum mechanics, the chance of each outcome is 50%. You turn on the machine. After 1 second, the universe splits. In one universe, the spin is down, the gun fires, and you die. In the other universe, the spin is up, the gun stays silent, and you live. From the perspective of an outside observer, your chances of survival drop with each passing second. They would almost certainly see you die, but what do you experience? Your consciousness, your subjective awareness can only continue in the universes where you survive. You can't experience the universe where you are dead. So, from your point of view, you will always find yourself in the universe where the spin was up. You turn on the machine, a second passes, click, nothing, you're still here, another second. A click, still alive, a minute goes by, an hour, a day. From your perspective, the machine keeps malfunctioning. You are witnessing an event of ridiculously low probability. You keep winning a coin toss thousands, millions of times in a row. You would conclude that you are either incredibly lucky or immortal. The theory suggests the latter. This is called quantum immortality. Your consciousness, by definition, follows the path of survival through the branching universes. Every time a potentially fatal event occurs, a car crash, a heart attack, the decay of a potassium-40 atom in a critical stellar, the universe splits. There is a branch where you die, and a branch where, through some improbable fluke, you survive. Your awareness continues only on the surviving branch. From the outside, you die of old age like everyone else. But from your subjective viewpoint, you just keep on living. But this isn't a pleasant immortality. As you age, more and more things will try to kill you. You will survive them all, but not necessarily unscathed. You would accumulate injuries and illnesses. You might find yourself in a universe where you survived a plane crash, but are horribly injured. You might survive a terminal disease, but are left in a state of constant pain. The multiverse doesn't guarantee a good life, just a continuing one. You would be forced to endure an eternity of aging, decay, and improbable survivals, becoming a frail, battered thing that just won't die. You would witness the heat death of the universe, alone in a broken body, because there is always a tiny quantum probability of your consciousness continuing, and that is the only path you can experience. Death, in this model, is not an event you experience. It is an event that happens to other versions of you, while your own consciousness is condemned to persist forever. It transforms death from a final ending into a statistical probability that, from your own perspective, never quite reaches 100%. Number 14, the idea of A. Soul becomes almost impossible to maintain. For millennia, humans have held the concept of a singular, unique essence, a soul, a spirit, a core self. This essence is believed to be indivisible and eternal, the thing that makes you, you. The existence of this soul is not supported by scientific evidence, but it remains a deeply ingrained philosophical and religious concept. In 2014, a study at the Allen Institute for Brain Science completed a detailed map of the human brain, revealing a staggering complexity of cell types and connections. It found no central location for consciousness, no seat of the soul. The multiverse makes the idea of a unique soul even more problematic. If there are infinite copies of you, which one has the soul? Let's consider the level Y multiverse, the one based on an infinite universe. Somewhere out there, light years away, is another person identical to you in every single way, atom for atom. They have your memories, your thoughts, your feelings. They are living a parallel life. Do they have a soul? If they do, is it a copy of yours? If so, the soul is not unique. If they don't, then, what makes you so special? What principle dictates that the soul was assigned to the bundle of atoms here on this earth and not the identical bundle over there? The problem gets worse with the level the third or many worlds multiverse. A new you is created at every quantum split. When you decide to drink coffee instead of tea, the universe branches. A coffee drinking you continues in one universe, and a tea drinking you continues in another. Where did the soul for the new you come from? Did your original soul split in two? If a soul is by definition indivisible, this is a contradiction. Did a new soul get created out of nothing? If so, what is creating them, and why? Or does only one of you, the original, get to keep the soul, while the other becomes a soulless automaton? If that's the case, which one is the original? Both feel equally real, both believe they are the true continuation of the person who existed before the split. The multiverse suggests that your identity is not based on some mystical essence. It is based on information. It's the pattern of atoms that make up your body and brain. It's the configuration of your neural network, and that pattern can be copied. It is copied infinitely across the multiverse. You are not a unique spiritual entity. You are a recurring pattern in the fabric of reality. This can be deeply unsettling. Our entire system of morality, of purpose, of legacy is often built on the idea of a singular self. We strive to be good people, to leave a mark on the world, to achieve some kind of personal salvation or growth. But if you are just one instance of an infinitely repeated pattern, what does any of that mean? The good deeds of one, you are balanced by the bad deeds of another. The legacy you leave in this universe is just one of countless legacies, many of which are contradictory. It reduces you to a physical process. Your thoughts, your love, your fear, your hopes, they are not the product of a unique spirit. They are the emergent properties of a complex arrangement of particles. An arrangement that nature has created over and over again. The thing you call yourself is not a noun. It's a verb. It's a process that is running on a particular set of biological hardware in this particular universe. And the same software is running on identical hardware all across the multiverse. The soul becomes a redundant concept, a pre-scientific explanation for a phenomenon that the multiverse explains through sheer, impersonal, infinite repetition. Number 13, your most profound experiences might just be a glimpse of another reality. In 2016, researchers at Imperial College London used fMRI scans to study the brains of patients under the influence of psilocybin. They found that the substance didn't increase brain activity, but rather decreased it, particularly in hub regions that connect different networks. This quieting of the brain's central command system led to a more disorganized entropic state of consciousness, where patients reported profound experiences, like a sense of unity with the universe or encounters with other intelligences. Some interpretations of the multiverse suggest these aren't just hallucinations. They could be real. The idea is called quantum consciousness, and it's highly speculative, but it connects the physics of the multiverse to the mystery of subjective experience. The theory, championed by physicists like Roger Penrose and Stuart Hameroff, suggests that consciousness isn't just a product of neurons firing. It arises from quantum processes happening inside tiny structures within the neurons called microtubules. If consciousness is fundamentally a quantum phenomenon, then it might be subject to the same rules as the rest of the quantum world, including superposition and entanglement. What if your brain is a kind of quantum antenna? Your normal everyday consciousness is tuned to this specific universe, this single branch of the multiverse. Your brain's job is to filter out all the other noise, all the other realities, so you can function in this one. It collapses the wave function, forcing a single reality to keep you sane and alive. But what happens when that filtering process is disrupted? What happens during a near-death experience, deep meditation, or under the influence of certain psychedelic substances? The brain's normal filtering mechanism breaks down. The antenna's tuning gets fuzzy, and suddenly you might be getting glimpses of other branches. The feeling of déjà vu might not be a memory glitch. It could be a moment of quantum interference, a brief bleed through from a parallel universe where you've already lived this exact moment. The strange, vivid dreams that feel more real than reality, they might be you briefly experiencing the life of another one of yourselves. The presence some people feel in a room, or the voices they hear, might not be ghosts or gods, but the faint signal of other realities pressing up against our own. This isn't to say every strange experience is a trip to another dimension, but the theory provides a framework where these subjective, often dismissed experiences could have a physical basis. The other worlds people claim to visit in altered states might not be imaginary. They could be other universes on the great branching tree of reality. The beings or intelligences they encounter could be the inhabitants of those universes, perhaps other versions of humans or something else entirely. This would mean that our subjective reality is far more porous than we believe. We are not sealed off in our universe. We are constantly at the edge of an infinite ocean of other possibilities, and sometimes a wave splashes over the wall. It would also mean that mystics, shamans, and poets throughout history who spoke of other planes of existence might not have been speaking in metaphor. They may have been describing a fundamental feature of reality that they were able to perceive, while the rest of us, with our well-functioning mental filters, remain oblivious. Your most private, internal, spiritual experiences might be the most direct evidence you ever get that the multiverse is real. Number 12, every work of fiction is a true story somewhere. The Library of Babel is a short story written by Argentine author Jorge Luis Borges in 1941. It describes a universe in the form of a vast library containing every possible book that can be composed from a set of characters. It contains every great work of literature, but also every possible variation with a single typo. It contains books of pure nonsense. It contains your biography, and the biography of every possible version of you. Borges intended it as a metaphor for an infinite universe. The multiverse suggests it's not a metaphor. If the multiverse is real, specifically a level 1 or level the 3rd type, then any arrangement of matter that is physically possible exists somewhere. This has a staggering implication for creativity and imagination. Every story ever told, from the Epic of Gilgamesh to the latest blockbuster movie, is a true story in some universe. There is a universe that corresponds exactly to the plot of Shakespeare's Hamlet. There is a real person named Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, living in a real castle called Elsinore, whose uncle murdered his father. His story is not fiction, it's a historical account of events in another reality. There is a Middle-earth. There is a Hogwarts. There is a Starship Enterprise. This isn't just a fun idea. It follows directly from the logic of infinity. If you have an infinite number of universes with random variations in their histories and initial conditions, then a sequence of events that precisely matches the Lord of the Rings has to happen somewhere. The probability is mind-bogglingly small, but in an infinite set, even the smallest probability becomes a certainty. This completely erases the line between fiction and non-fiction. An author isn't creating something from nothing. They are acting as a reporter. When a writer sits down and imagines a world, they may be, in some sense, unconsciously perceiving another universe. Their imagination is a tool for accessing the library of what's real, somewhere. The story that feels true, that resonates with deep human archetypes, might do so because it is true on some level. This also means that every monster, every hero, every utopia, and every dystopia is real. The most idyllic society you can dream of is being lived by real people in another universe. And the most terrifying horror story you've ever read is a reality for someone else. Your nightmares are real. The monster under the bed is real, just not in this universe. It changes how we view our own creativity. It's no longer a magical act of pure invention. It becomes an act of discovery, of tuning into one of the infinite channels of reality and transcribing what you see. The greatest storytellers are not the best inventors, but the most sensitive receivers. They are the ones who can pick up the clearest signal from a distant branch of the multiverse. And it leads to a strange, almost dizzying thought. If every story is real, then what about the stories we tell about our own lives? The narrative we construct to make sense of our past is just one story. In other universes, there are other stories with different protagonists, different villains, and different endings. The truth of your own life becomes just one version among an infinity of others. Your autobiography is just one book in the infinite library of Babel, and it's not even the most interesting one. Number 11, our laws of physics are not special. The speed of light in a vacuum, c, is 299,792,458 meters per second. The gravitational constant, g, determines the strength of gravity. The fine structure constant, alpha, which is approximately 1/137, governs the strength of the electromagnetic force. These are the fundamental constants of our universe. For centuries, physicists have wondered why they have these specific values. If they were even slightly different, the universe as we know it could not exist. If gravity were a little stronger, the universe would have collapsed back on itself moments after the Big Bang. If the electromagnetic force were a little weaker, stars wouldn't be able to form stable atoms. This apparent fine-tuning has led some to believe it's evidence of a deliberate designer. The multiverse offers a different and perhaps more unsettling explanation. This is the idea behind Max Tegmark's Level the Second multiverse. It comes from the theory of eternal inflation. The idea is that the Big Bang that created our universe wasn't a one-time event. It's happening all the time. The space-time medium is constantly and rapidly expanding, a process called inflation. Most of it just keeps inflating, but in some places, like a bubble forming in boiling water, the inflation stops and a universe like ours is born. This process creates an infinite number of bubble universes in a vast cosmic foam. And here's the key part. Each bubble can have different physical laws. When a new bubble universe is formed, the fundamental constants and even the basic forces of nature might freeze into random values. In one universe, gravity might be 10 times stronger. In another, there might be only 2 spatial dimensions instead of 3. In yet another, electrons might be heavier than protons. The vast majority of these universes would be sterile and dead. They would be chaotic messes where no complex structures, let alone life, could ever form. They would be born and die in an instant, or be empty voids of thin gas, but with an infinite number of bubbles, it's inevitable that some of them, by pure chance, would have the right combination of laws and constants to allow for the formation of galaxies, stars, and life. We just happen to find ourselves living in one of those lucky universes. This is called the anthropic principle. We observe the universe to be fine-tuned for life because if it weren't, we wouldn't be here to observe it. There is no special design. We just won a cosmic lottery. This demotes our entire reality. Our elegant laws of physics, from, quantum mechanics to general relativity, are not fundamental truths. They are just the local bylaws of our particular cosmic bubble. They are arbitrary, accidental. It's like finding yourself on an island where the rocks are all a specific shape. You could spend your life studying the fundamental laws of rock formation on your island, but the truth is, on other islands, the rocks are completely different. This makes the search for a theory of everything far more complicated. Physicists have been trying to find a single elegant equation that explains all the forces of nature. But if the multiverse theory is correct, they might be chasing a ghost. The theory of everything might not give us a unique answer for why the constants are what they are. It might instead describe the landscape of all possible laws, the meta laws that govern the creation of the bubbles themselves. The ultimate truth would not be a single number, but a probability distribution for all possible numbers. Our existence, our reality, everything we study and cherish would just be one random data point on an infinite graph. Number 10, the meaning of you is just a temporary pattern. Your body replaces about 98% of its atoms every year. The cells in your stomach lining are replaced every few days. Your skin is completely new every few weeks. The atoms that make you up today are not the same atoms that made you up a decade ago. So what is the you that persists through time? Philosophers call this the ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every plank and sail of a ship, is it still the same ship? Our common sense answer is yes. It's the pattern, the structure that matters, not the individual components. The multiverse takes this idea and applies it to your very existence across realities. In a level Y multiverse where there are infinite identical copies of you, your uniqueness is already gone. But the Many Worlds level, the third version, is even more corrosive to the idea of a stable self, that at every moment you are splitting into countless versions. The you of 1 second ago is the common ancestor of 1,000 different yous in this exact moment. You share memories with them, but your futures are now completely different. Which one is the real you? They all are. This means that you are not a continuous entity moving through time. You are a branching, diverging, ever-multiplying entity moving through the multiverse. The feeling of being a single, consistent self is an illusion created by the fact that your consciousness can only experience one path at a time. It's like reading a choose-your-own-adventure book. You make a choice and follow one story to its end. But all the other storylines exist printed in the same book. The multiverse is a book where every possible story is being read simultaneously by a version of you. This has profound implications for how we think about our past and future. Your past is not a single fixed timeline. It's a trunk of a tree that you share with countless other versions of yourself. When you remember a past event, you are remembering the experience of that common ancestor. Your future, however, is not your own. There is no single future you are heading towards. There is a vast, ever-expanding cloud of possible futures, and a version of you will inhabit every single one. So when you make a plan for the future, who are you making it for? You decide to save money for retirement. One version of you will get to enjoy that retirement, but another version, split off by a random quantum event, will get into an accident and never see it. Another will lose the money in a market crash. You can't control which future you will experience. The act of planning for a singular future is based on the false premise that such a thing exists. It reduces your identity to a temporary local phenomenon. You are just the specific pattern of information and matter that exists at this point on this branch. The continuity you feel with your past self is a product of memory. The connection you feel to your future self is an act of faith. The multiverse suggests that this connection is an illusion. The person who will exist in 10 years with your name and memories is no more you than one of your parallel selves living in another universe right now. They are just another branch on the tree, connected to you only by a shared past. You are a pattern that existed for a while and then diverged into 1,000 new patterns. The original is gone. Number 9, morality becomes a statistical nightmare. A trolley is hurtling down a track towards 5 people. You can pull a lever to divert it to another track, where it will kill 1 person. This is the classic trolley problem, a thought experiment in ethics devised by philosopher Philippa Foot in 1967. Most people agree it's better to pull the lever, saving 5 lives at the cost of 1. Utilitarianism, the ethical framework that seeks the greatest good for the greatest number, would support this choice. But the multiverse, specifically the many worlds interpretation, shatters this simple calculation. In a single universe, your choice matters. You can choose to save 5 people or 1 person. But in the many worlds multiverse, when you face the choice, the universe splits. In one universe, you pull the lever and the 1 person dies. In the other universe, you don't pull the lever and the 5 people die. Both outcomes happen, both are equally real. You don't choose an outcome, you only choose which outcome you will experience. The total amount of suffering in the multiverse remains the same. 6 people die in total across the 2 branches. Your action did not reduce the amount of death, it just redistributed it. This is the problem of conservation of suffering. If every possible outcome happens, then you can't make the multiverse a better place. You can't reduce pain or increase happiness on a cosmic scale. All you can do is steer yourself into the branch that you find more palatable. Your moral choices are no longer about creating a better world, they are about choosing a better world for yourself to live in. Morality becomes an act of profound selfishness. Let's take it a step further. You are a doctor with 5 patients who need organ transplants to live. A healthy person walks into your office for a checkup. You could kill this 1 healthy person and use their organs to save the 5. In a single universe, this is almost universally seen as monstrous, but in the multiverse, if you kill the 1 person, the universe splits. In one branch, 5 people live and 1 dies. In the other branch, where you don't act, 5 people die and 1 lives. The net result across the multiverse is the same: 6 people are dead. The moral calculus is broken. There is no right answer because your actions don't change the total outcome. The physicist David Deutsch, a strong proponent of the many worlds theory, has argued against this pessimistic view. He suggests that we should act as if our choices matter within our own branch. But this feels like a psychological trick, a way to keep functioning in the face of a morally indifferent reality. The core problem remains: if all possibilities are realized, the concept of consequences is diluted to the point of meaninglessness. This extends to all ethical decisions. Why work to prevent climate change? In the multiverse, there are infinite universes where humanity solves it and thrives, and infinite universes where we fail and go extinct. Your efforts here only determine which version of Earth you get to live on. Why fight for justice? There are infinite universes where justice prevails, and infinite universes where tyranny reigns. You aren't changing the grand total, just your own local experience. It forces us to ask a terrifying question: if our actions don't change the total amount of good or evil in existence, on what basis do we make any moral choice at all? Ethics, the system we built to guide our behavior and improve our collective existence, becomes just a set of personal preferences for which reality we'd like to inhabit. It turns saints and sinners into cosmic tourists, choosing their preferred itinerary through the landscape of all possible worlds. Number 8, free will becomes almost meaningless. In the 1980s, the scientist Benjamin Libet conducted a series of experiments that sent shockwaves through the fields of neuroscience and philosophy. He used an EEG to monitor the brain activity of subjects while asking them to flex their wrists at a moment of their own choosing. He found that a specific brain signal, the readiness potential, began to build up about half a second before the subject reported having the conscious intention to act. This suggested that the brain had already decided to act before the person was consciously aware of it. The feeling of free will was just a story we told ourselves after the fact. The multiverse adds another, even more profound layer to this problem. Even if Libet's experiments were flawed, the many worlds multiverse presents a fundamental challenge to free will. Let's say you are trying to decide between 2 job offers. You weigh the pros and cons. You think deeply. You finally make a conscious choice for job A. You feel like you have exercised your free will. But according to the many worlds theory, the moment you chose, the universe split. A version of you went to job A. Another version of you, just as real, went to job B. So, did you really choose? It seems not. Both outcomes were inevitable. The universe had to realize both possibilities. Your conscious deliberation, your feeling of making a choice, was not an act of creation. It was an act of sorting. Your consciousness was simply sorted into the universe that matched the outcome of your brain's chemical processes. The you that experiences Job A is the one whose brain chemistry leaned that way. The you that experiences Job B is the one whose brain chemistry leaned the other way, perhaps because of a single random quantum fluctuation in a neuron. In this view, free will is not the ability to choose an outcome. It is merely the subjective experience of following one path out of an infinite number of predetermined paths. Your choices don't determine what happens. They determine what happens to you. All the other things happen too, just to other versions of you. This makes our entire concept of personal responsibility crumble. If a person commits a crime, we hold them responsible because we believe they could have chosen otherwise. But in the multiverse, another version of them did choose otherwise. The criminal is just the version who happened to go down the crime branch. The law-abiding citizen is the version who went down the no crime branch. They are both real. The criminal couldn't have chosen to be the other person because that person already exists in a separate universe. He could only be himself. So what does it mean to praise someone for their virtues or blame them for their faults? They are just living out one of the infinite scripts. The hero who runs into a burning building is no more praiseworthy than the coward who runs away. Both actions were destined to happen in the grand scheme of the multiverse. The hero is just the person whose quantum makeup led them to follow that particular timeline. This is a deterministic view of reality, but a strange kind of determinism. It's not that your future is a single, fixed line. It's that all possible futures are fixed, and you have no say in which one you experience. Your feeling of agency is an illusion. You are a passenger on a train, and at every switch, the train car splits in two and goes down both tracks. You don't choose the track, you just find yourself on one of them, with the mistaken belief that you were the driver. Number 7. All your failures and regrets are preserved forever. In 1913, Marcel Proust published the first volume of his monumental novel, In Search of Lost Time. The book is an obsessive exploration of memory, of how the past is never truly gone but lives on within us, capable of being resurrected by a simple taste or smell. He wrote about the involuntary memory, the way a past moment can rush back with its full emotional force. The multiverse proposes something far more literal and permanent. Your past isn't just a memory. Your failures and regrets aren't just ghosts. They are real, physical places that are still being lived in by other versions of you. Every mistake you've ever made, every word you wish you could take back, every moment of weakness or cruelty these are not erased by time. In the many worlds model, each of these moments was a branching point. There's a universe that was created by your mistake. And in that universe, a version of you is living with the consequences forever. Think of your most painful memory, a terrible argument with someone you love, a moment of professional failure, an act of cowardice you are ashamed of. You may have moved on, you may have learned from it, grown as a person, but the you in the universe created by that event has not moved on. That universe is now permanently defined by your failure. The argument never healed. The career never recovered. The shame was never overcome. This is a terrifying kind of permanence. In a single universe, we have the comfort of redemption. We can apologize, we can make amends, we can change. The past is the past. But in the multiverse, the past is never the past. It is a series of still living presents. Your apology in this universe does not erase the universe where you never apologized. Your success today does not erase the universe where you remained a failure. It's like a museum of your worst moments. And each exhibit is a living, breathing reality with a version of you trapped inside it. This changes the nature of regret. Regret is no longer a feeling about a past event. It is an awareness of a present, ongoing suffering that you caused and which can never be undone. Your regret is a form of empathy for your other, less fortunate self. This also applies to collective failures. Every war, every famine, every act of injustice in human history has created branching universes. There are universes where the wars never ended, universes where civilizations collapsed and never recovered. We in our timeline may have survived and progressed. We look back on history as a series of lessons learned. But in the multiverse, the lessons were never learned. The tragedies are not historical events. They are current events happening right now to other versions of humanity. This creates a heavy burden. We are all haunted, not by ghosts of the past, but by the flesh and blood reality of our other selves, living out the consequences of our worst decisions. We can try to be better people in this branch of reality, but we can never undo the damage we've done in others. Every step forward we take is shadowed by the knowledge of the infinite number of selves we left behind, stuck forever in the moments of our greatest failures. Number 6, the ultimate loneliness is being trapped in your own universe. The cosmic microwave background radiation detected by Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson in 1965 is the afterglow of the Big Bang. It permeates the entire universe. It is the oldest light we can see. It effectively creates a wall, a boundary in time beyond which we cannot look. There is a similar wall in space. The universe is expanding, and beyond a certain distance, called the cosmic event horizon, galaxies are receding from us faster than the speed of light. Their light will never reach us. We are fundamentally isolated within our observable patch of the cosmos. The multiverse suggests that this isolation is far more profound. The different universes in the multiverse are, by most definitions, causally disconnected. This means we can't travel between them, we can't communicate with them, we can't even observe them. They exist parallel to us, perhaps separated by a fraction of an inch in a higher dimension, or perhaps trillions of light years away, but they are forever beyond our reach. If the multiverse is real, then you have an infinite number of family members, infinite versions of your parents, your siblings, your friends. Some are identical to the ones you know. Others are different in small or large ways. You are part of an infinite cosmic clan, but you will never meet them. You are an orphan, stranded in one reality with no way to contact your true extended family. Think about the version of you who achieved all your dreams. You can't ask them for advice. Think about the version of you who is suffering. You can't offer them comfort. Think about the version of your loved one who died in this timeline. They are still alive in another universe, but you can never see them again. The barrier between worlds is absolute. This is a new kind of loneliness. It's not the loneliness of being the only person on an island. It's the loneliness of being one person in an infinite crowd, but sealed inside a soundproof glass box. You can speculate that the others are out there, but you can never have any interaction. You are alone with the knowledge of your infinite connections. It also means that all the wonders of the multiverse are forever closed to us. There could be universes with different laws of physics that allow for things we can only dream of. Universes where life evolved in bizarre and beautiful forms. Universes where civilizations have solved the problems of disease and aging. We are locked out of all of it. We are prisoners in our own reality, staring at the walls, knowing that just on the other side is everything imaginable. This makes our own universe feel like a cage, however vast. All of humanity's explorations, our voyages to the moon and probes to the outer solar system are just pacing around inside our cell. The true frontier, the multiverse itself, is one we can never cross. We are trapped by the very laws of physics that gave us life. This isolation is a source of deep existential frustration. We are social creatures who crave connection. The multiverse tells us that we have an infinite number of potential connections and infinite family, and then it tells us that we can never ever access them. We are surrounded by an infinite ocean of reality, but we are dying of thirst on a tiny raft with no way to reach the water. Number 5, you can never know if the theory is true. In 1931, the logician Kurt Gödel published his incompleteness theorems. He proved that in any formal mathematical system complex enough to describe basic arithmetic, there will always be true statements that cannot be proven within the system itself. He showed that there are fundamental limits to what we can know through logic and mathematics. The multiverse theory may be a physical example of this principle. It might be a true feature of reality that we can never, ever prove. The scientific method is built on testable predictions. A theory is proposed. It makes a prediction about the outcome of an experiment. Scientists conduct the experiment. If the results match the prediction, the theory is strengthened. If they don't, the theory is weakened or discarded. The problem with the multiverse is that its core claim, the existence of other universes, is, by most accounts, untestable. How would you test for a universe that is causally disconnected from our own? You can't go there. You can't send a probe. You can't receive a signal. The other universes are defined by their separation from us. So how can we ever get evidence? Some physicists have proposed indirect tests. For example, if our bubble universe collided with another one in the distant past, it might have left a faint circular bruise on the cosmic microwave background. Astronomers have looked for such a signal, but so far the evidence is inconclusive and highly debated. Other ideas are even more speculative. Some have suggested that if we could create tiny microscopic black holes in a particle accelerator like the LHC, we might see evidence of gravity leaking into other dimensions, which would support some versions of string theory that predict a multiverse. But we are nowhere near the energies required for this, and even if we were, the interpretation of the results would be ambiguous. This leaves the multiverse in a strange scientific limbo. It's a theory that arises naturally from our best current physics, like string theory and eternal inflation. Many physicists believe it's the most plausible explanation for things like the fine-tuning of our universe, but it remains a philosophical position as much as a scientific one. It is a conclusion based on extrapolating our theories far beyond what we can test. This creates a deep and permanent uncertainty about the nature of our existence. We might be living in this incredible, bizarre reality of infinite copies, splitting worlds, and alternate possibilities, and we will never have definitive proof. It will always be a theory, a story we tell ourselves based on the math. This is profoundly unsatisfying. It's like being a character in a novel who suspects there are other books in the library, but can never leave their own pages to check. And we are trapped within our own cosmic narrative, forced to guess at the larger context. This uncertainty can be maddening. It means the biggest questions we can ask: are we unique? Is there only one reality? What is our place in the cosmos? May be fundamentally unanswerable. We have built this incredible intellectual edifice of modern physics, and it has led us to a locked door. The math tells us what's likely on the other side, but we can never find the key. We are forced to live our lives and make our choices in a state of permanent ignorance about the true scale and nature of existence. We have to choose to believe or not believe without the comfort of proof. Number 4, you are not unique, not even remotely. On a clear night, you can see about 2,500 stars with the naked eye. Each is a sun, many with their own planets. For most of human history, we believed our Earth was the center of everything. Then Copernicus and Galileo showed us we were just another planet orbiting the sun. Then astronomers like Harlow Shapley showed our sun was just an average star on the outskirts of the Milky Way galaxy. Then Edwin Hubble showed our galaxy was just one of billions. This process is called the Copernican principle, the idea that we do not occupy a special or privileged place in the universe. The Level 1 multiverse is the final, brutal culmination of this idea. It suggests that you as an individual are not special either. The Level 1 multiverse doesn't require any new physics. It just requires two things that most cosmologists already believe are true: space is infinite, or at least vastly larger than our observable universe, and the distribution of matter within it is, on a large enough scale, roughly uniform. If you accept these two ideas, the conclusion is unavoidable. Our observable universe, the part we can see, is about 93 billion light years in diameter. This is our Hubble volume. Within this volume, there are a finite number of particles. These particles can only be arranged in a finite number of ways. The number is astronomically large, but it's not infinite. The physicist Max Tegmark estimates this number to be 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 118. It's a number so large that if you tried to write it out, you would run out of atoms in the universe to do it. But space itself is infinite. So if you have a finite number of ways to arrange things, and an infinite amount of space for those arrangements to happen, you are guaranteed to get repeats. It's like having a deck of cards. There are a lot of ways to shuffle them, but if you shuffle an infinite number of decks, you will eventually get the exact same order twice. This means that somewhere out there in the infinite expanse of space, there is another Hubble volume that is identical to ours. Atom for atom. It contains an identical Milky Way, an identical solar system, an identical Earth. And on that Earth, there is a person who is identical to you in every single way. They are not a version of you from a split. They are a physical copy created by chance from a different set of atoms. They are right now reading this exact sentence, having the exact same thought. And it doesn't stop there. You know, in an infinite universe, there isn't just, one copy of you. There are an infinite number of copies. An infinite number of yous living identical lives. An infinite number of yous who are different in only one tiny way. They have one more freckle on their arm. An infinite number of yous who made one different choice yesterday. Tegmark calculated how far you would have to travel, on average, to meet your nearest identical twin. The number is 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 28 meters. This distance is so vast it's meaningless in human terms. You will never meet your cosmic twin, but they are out there. This erases your uniqueness completely. The things you think make you specially your unique combination of memories, personality, and experiences are not unique at all. They are a pattern that has been repeated endlessly across the cosmos. Your life is not your own. It is a rerun. Your thoughts are not original. They are being thought by an infinite number of other minds at this very moment. You are not a precious, one-of-a-kind creation. You are a statistical inevitability. Number 3, the universe itself might be a fluke. In 2012, physicists at CERN announced the discovery of the Higgs boson. This particle confirmed the existence of the Higgs field, an energy field that permeates all of space. The value of this field is crucial. It gives mass to fundamental particles. But according to our calculations, the value of the Higgs field is not stable. It's what physicists call metastable. This means it's sitting in a stable-looking valley, but it's not the lowest possible energy valley. There's another much lower energy state it could fall into. If it did, the consequences would be catastrophic. The universe as we know it would cease to exist. This possibility suggests our entire existence is a fragile, temporary accident. The idea is called vacuum decay or false vacuum collapse. Imagine a ball resting in a small dip on the side of a large hill. The ball is stable, but if you give it a little push, it could roll over the edge and fall all the way to the bottom. The Higgs field is like that ball. It's currently in a false vacuum state. A random quantum fluctuation could, at any moment, anywhere in the universe, push a part of the field over the edge into the true vacuum state. If this happened, it would create a bubble of true vacuum. This bubble would expand outwards at the speed of light, destroying everything in its path. Inside the bubble, the laws of physics would be completely different. The fundamental forces would have different strengths. The particles that make up matter would have different masses or might not exist at all. It would be a new kind of universe with new physics, and our universe, our reality would be annihilated. We would never see it coming. Because the bubble expands at the speed of light, we would have no warning. One moment, you're living your life. The next, you and everything you know simply cease to exist, replaced by a new set of physical laws. The multiverse makes this idea even more plausible. In a level the second multiverse, with its infinite bubble universes, we would expect most of the space to be in the true vacuum state. Our universe, existing in a rare, high-energy false vacuum state, would be the exception. We are living on borrowed time, in a temporary pocket of reality that is inherently unstable. Our existence is a cosmic fluke, a bubble of foam that is destined to pop. This challenges our most basic assumption that existence itself is stable. We live our lives assuming the laws of nature are constant and reliable. We build our societies on this foundation. But the theory of vacuum decay suggests this foundation is made of sand. The universe is not a permanent stage. It is a temporary state, a cosmic accident waiting to be corrected. It makes all of human endeavor seem futile. Why build anything? Why create anything? Why strive for anything if the entire fabric of reality could be ripped apart at any second without warning? Our achievements, our history, our legacy, all of it could be erased in an instant, not by a human act, but by a random burp in the quantum field. It's the ultimate sword of Damocles hanging over every moment of every day. We are living in a metastable state, a fluke, a happy accident of cosmic proportions, and the universe, in its relentless search for the lowest energy state, will eventually correct this error. The fact that it hasn't happened yet is just a matter of luck, and in a multiverse of infinite possibilities, luck eventually runs out. Number 2, consciousness could be an unimaginably rare phenomenon. The Drake equation, formulated by astronomer Frank Drake in 1961, attempts to estimate the number of active, communicative extraterrestrial civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. It's a probabilistic argument multiplying a series of factors like the rate of star formation, the fraction of those stars with planets, and the fraction of those planets that could develop life. Depending on the values you plug in, you can get answers ranging from 1us to millions. The fact that we haven't found any evidence of other intelligent life is known as the Fermi paradox. The multiverse offers a chilling solution to this paradox. Perhaps consciousness is so incredibly rare that we are the only ones in our entire observable universe, and maybe in countless other universes as well. This seems to contradict the idea that anything possible will happen in an infinite multiverse. But possible doesn't mean common. The sequence of events that led to intelligent, self-aware life on Earth was ridiculously improbable. It required a planet in the right orbit around the right kind of star, with the right chemical composition, a large moon to stabilize its axis, a magnetic field to deflect radiation, the emergence of self-replicating molecules from a primordial soup, billions of years of evolution, surviving multiple mass extinction events, and the development of a brain complex enough to ask questions about its own existence. The probability of this entire chain of events happening is vanishingly small. In a multiverse, it's bound to happen somewhere, but the distance between two such instances of consciousness could be staggering. We might be the only intelligent life in our Hubble volume. The next instance might be in a Hubble volume so far away that we are, for all practical purposes, alone. The multiverse could be mostly dead, an infinite expanse of sterile universes, empty galaxies, and lifeless planets. And dotted across this infinite graveyard are a few precious, impossibly rare sparks of consciousness. We are one of those sparks. This restores a sense of preciousness and responsibility to our existence. If we are not one of an infinite number of intelligent species, but one of a vanishingly rare few, then what we have is incredibly valuable. Our consciousness, our ability to observe and understand the universe is not a common commodity. It is the rarest treasure in the cosmos. And it means that if we fail, if we drive ourselves to extinction, we might be extinguishing one of the only lights in an infinite darkness. There might not be anyone else to carry the torch. The universe's brief moment of self-awareness happening right here on this planet could be over. The cosmos would return to its default state, a vast, beautiful, but unthinking machine. This also reframes the Fermi paradox. The great silence we hear when we listen to the stars might be the true sound of the multiverse. The normal state of a universe is silence. We are the anomaly, the brief, improbable noise. This can feel both empowering and terrifying. We are cosmically significant because of our rarity. But we are also cosmically alone. There is no one coming to save us. There is no galactic federation to join. There are no cosmic elders to guide us. We are on our own, a fragile and unique experiment with the fate of consciousness in our observable universe resting entirely in our own hands. Number 1, the entire multiverse could be a simulation. In 2003, the same year Max Tegmark published his classification of the multiverse, the philosopher Nick Bostrom at Oxford University published a paper called "Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?" He argued that one of the following 3 propositions must be true. 1. The human species is very likely to go extinct before reaching a post-human stage. The existence of a multiverse, especially a Tegmark level 4th mathematical universe, makes this possibility feel alarmingly plausible. The logic is simple. If a civilization becomes advanced enough, they will have enormous computational power. They might want to run ancestor simulations to study their own past. They could simulate an entire universe complete with conscious beings who believe their world is real. If they run many such simulations, then the number of simulated universes would vastly outnumber the one real, base reality universe. Therefore, based on probability alone, it's far more likely that we are in one of the many simulations than in the one true reality. The multiverse fits perfectly into this framework. What if the mathematical structures of Tegmark's level 4th multiverse are just different computer programs? What if the bubble universes of level 2nd are just different simulation instances, each run with slightly different physical parameters? The multiverse wouldn't be a naturally occurring phenomenon, it would be the output of a massive cosmic computer. Our universe, with its elegant mathematical laws, feels suspiciously like it was designed. It runs on rules. These rules are consistent and discoverable. This is exactly what you would expect from a simulated reality. The speed of light could be the processing speed of the cosmic computer. The Planck length, the smallest possible unit of space, could be the pixel resolution of the simulation. The weirdness of quantum mechanics, where things are only definite when observed, could be a clever processing shortcut. Why render the entire reality in full detail all the time? It's more efficient to only render what an observer is looking at. This is the ultimate existential crisis. If this is true, then nothing is real. Your life, your loves, your pain, your world, all of it is just code. You are not a biological being. You are a simulated consciousness, an AI living inside a program created by some other being, for reasons you can't possibly comprehend. It raises a cascade of unanswerable questions. Who created the simulation? What is their purpose? Are we part of a research project, a historical documentary, a video game? Can they interfere? Can they change the rules? Can they turn it off? Your entire existence would be at the mercy of an unseen and unknowable programmer. The concept of God is replaced by the concept of the system administrator, and it creates a nested problem. If our creators are themselves biological beings, what's to stop them from also being a simulation created by an even more advanced civilization? It could be simulations all the way down a potentially infinite hierarchy of realities with no way to know if you've ever reached the base level. This is the final and most profound way the multiverse can make you question your existence. It suggests that the very fabric of your reality might be an illusion. You might not be a human being having an experience. You might be an experience being had by a computer, and there is absolutely no way you can ever know for sure. You are trapped inside the system. The only evidence you have is the system itself. And if it's a good simulation, it's designed to be perfectly convincing. You are left with the dizzying, terrifying, and unshakable possibility that your entire life is a lie.